Formula One returned to America last weekend with the race at Miami, and this was the second time a Formula One Grand Prix is held in the newly designed Miami International Autodrome. After testing the revised sprint race format at Baku, Formula One used again the normal race format here. As this is a street circuit, fans expected to see much more of a challenge for Verstappen from the king of streets, Sergio Perez. Red Bull and Verstappen came here with the aim of defending their victory at Miami, and they did it here with a strong 1-2 finish at the end. So, this video will discuss how the race in Miami unfolded. But before we begin, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. At the end of 3 practice sessions, Max Verstappen topped the timesheets, showing his dominant form again, and cars went to the track in Saturday evening for the qualifying sessions. Red Bull and Ferrari were the clear favourites for the pole position, depending on the performance of the practice sessions. Norris, Tsunoda, Stroll, Piastri and Sargent were knocked out at the end of the first qualifying round, and the biggest surprise was Lance Stroll, who had a strong car that is fast enough to reserve a top position in the starting grid. Continuing their poor form this year, both the McLaren cars were trapped in the bottom 5 again. The next 5 drivers to leave the track at the end of Q2 were Albon, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Zhou and De Vries. It was an unusual thing to have a Q3 without Hamilton, and the 7-time world champion's best effort in Q2 was strong enough only for P13, as he struggled a little bit in the first sector in his final flying lap. As predicted by most, the Red Bull duo were the clear favourites for the pole. However, Ferrari drivers were setting some quick times which were very close to the Red Bull duo's best efforts in the 2 previous qualifying sessions. Perez set a provisional pole time of 1.26.841 seconds. Then Alonso set the second best time behind the Mexican on old tyres. Behind these two, Magnussen, Gasly and Russell set their best time in the final qualifying round. Leclerc, who went 7th in the first lap of the Q3 with oversteering at turn number 17, made a big error again his second lap. This time, he spun through the blue runoff area, bringing a red flag to the session. This was a big blow to the plans of the championship leader Verstappen, who was ready to set his first lap time with a fresher set of soft rubber. And based on the results at the moment the red flag fell, he was 9th on the grid to start the race on Sunday evening. After a dramatic qualifying session on Saturday evening, Perez started the race on Sunday with a clear advantage over his championship rival and teammate Max Verstappen. The Mexican defended the threat from Alonso and Sainz very well, securing the race lead. But Magnussen had a poor start to the race, dropping from 4 to 6 at the commencement of the race, and lost 1 more position to Leclerc at turn number 11, who was running at 7. Ocon also lost 2 positions at the start, dropping behind Bottas and Verstappen. Verstappen, who had started the race at 9th on the grid, wanted to jump to the front of the pack as soon as possible to minimise the damage to his championship standings. Sargent, who held the tail of the pack, had to enter the pits too early as he needed to take a new front wing and lost more than 45 seconds, creating a big gap with the rest of the pack. Verstappen, who is in a quick hunt in midfield, passed Bottas without facing a big defence. Then he was eyeing at Leclerc, who was running at the 7th position, and the Dutchman was lucky enough to pass both Leclerc and Magnussen in one package, as the duo were focusing on nothing more than each other. A little contact happened between De Vries and Sargent, but was considered as a normal racing incident by the race control. Even though Perez maintained a healthy gap with Alonso, the 2-time world champion was unable to do the same with Sainz, as the Ferrari man was closely following the Aston Martin. Verstappen had to put in extra effort to pass Russell, as he did not allow any space to make a clean pass. But in lap 9, he passed Russell cleverly, using his late braking skills at turn number 17. He used the same trick to pass Gasly, but the Frenchman did not give any defense against the Red Bull, as he clearly knew the Alpine challenger had not enough power to do so. Russell also overtook the Alpine, running at 5th a few moments later. Verstappen, who was now charging through the pack, hunted down Sainz's Ferrari on lap number 14 in between turn 10 and 11 and repeated the move against Alonso at the same spot in the next lap. But there was a clear gap between the two Red Bulls as Perez maintained a healthy lead with the rest of the pack since the beginning. Sainz decided to pit a fresher set of rubber in lap number 19, and 2 laps later, Perez, who was running at the front, also decided to enter pit lane, handing over the race lead to Verstappen. Sainz was handed a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Verstappen reported some kind of inconvenience in the upshift of the gearbox to his race engineer, and at that moment, Alonso was just 5 seconds behind him and Perez was 13 seconds. Alonso pitted on the 25th lap, handing over the second place to Perez, and rejoined the track with Sainz in his sights. 2 laps later, the 2-time world champion made a clear move against Sainz for the 4th place with the help of DRS. At that moment, Ocon was in 3rd behind 2 Red Bulls, but he lost the places to Alonso and Sainz, who were chasing behind him with greater speed. When there were 20 laps to run, Leclerc, who had crashed twice in a week, reported that his Ferrari was jumping all over the place and had to pay off several positions for that reason. He had to engage in some wheel-to-wheel battles with Magnussen for P9 after that, and later gained a few positions back. Verstappen again pitted on lap 46, giving back the lead to the pole sitter of the race. But Perez was running on old tyres, which were pitted 25 laps earlier, and after rejoining the track, Verstappen was much quicker than his teammates with the tyre advantage as well. Verstappen got DRS in the next lap and passed Perez after taking an exploratory look around the outside of turn 17. Since then, he performed some extremely fast laps, leaving no space for Perez to overtake. So, the race ended after 57 laps, recording another Red Bull 1-2 in this season. The last podium place was reserved again by Alonso, after a slight decline in the previous race. He was followed by Russell, Sainz, Hamilton and Leclerc, making a Ferrari-Mercedes salad in the top 10. After back-to-back pointless races in Albert Park and Baku, the Alpine duo Gasly and Ocon finished the race as P8 and P9 with some points. Haas driver Kevin Magnussen was able to complete the race as P10 after fighting hard throughout the race. So the Grand Prix in the Sunshine City ended as another Red Bull dominant weekend, and now the Milton Keynes-based squad is clearly in another league compared to its rivals. Both Aston Martin and Ferrari are clearly showing a pace deficit to the RB19, and if they are unable to upgrade their challengers with a considerable pace gain, Red Bull will surely seal their 3rd consecutive title at the end of the current F1 season. What do you think about the race in Miami? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula 1 news. See you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.